It's 2 a.m. Your eyes are burning, the textbook is a blur, and you're mainlining coffee like it's life support. The big exam is in 6 hours. You've been cramming for 10 straight, highlighting, rereading, highlighting again, and you're feeling weirdly confident as you finally stumble into the test. And then it happens. Blank. The concepts you just reviewed evaporate under pressure. The facts are fuzzy, just out of reach. You survived the all-nighter. The knowledge didn't. What if I told you this isn't a failure of your effort, your intelligence, or your willpower? It's a failure of strategy. Your brain actually hates cramming. And the secret to remembering almost anything isn't to study harder, it's to strategically forget. Today on Brainful Bites, we're diving into the spacing effect, the single most powerful, reliable learning principle we've ever found. We'll decode why a little forgetting supercharges memory, and I'll give you a step-by-step time release system you can use today to lock in anything from exam facts to workplace skills. Let's get right to it. Cramming feels productive, but it builds knowledge on a foundation of sand. The alternative, the spacing effect, is simple. Take the same total study time and split it into multiple sessions with gaps in between. Long-term memory skyrockets. This isn't a trendy hack. In 1885, Hermann Ebbinghaus painstakingly memorized nonsense syllables and mapped the now famous forgetting curve, rapid drop-off, then a slow tail. He also found the antidote. Well-timed reviews flatten that curve. Each spaced review makes the memory stronger and more durable. A century of research only doubled down. A massive 2006 meta-analysis by Cepeda and colleagues pulled hundreds of experiments and found spacing benefits are large and consistent across ages, materials, and tasks. If learning had laws, spacing would be law number one. So why does spacing work? 4 core mechanisms drive it. Study phase retrieval. After a gap, you must pull information out of memory. That effortful retrieval is the workout that strengthens the trace. Rereading is looking at the answer key. Spacing forces you to answer without looking, exactly what you'll need in real life. Encoding variability. Each study session happens in a slightly different context. Time of day, mood, location, examples. Those differences attach new retrieval cues. More cues equals more routes back to the memory later. Desirable difficulty. With a gap, the material is no longer sitting in short-term memory. It feels harder, and that's good. That little struggle tells your brain to re-encode more deeply. People often misjudge this. As researcher Nate Cornell showed, learners prefer massed practice because it feels fluent, but spaced self-testing produces better scores. Consolidation and sleep. Spacing creates chances for offline consolidation, especially during sleep. You study, you sleep, your brain literally rewires. The next spaced review reactivates a more stable trace. Gaps that include sleep are especially potent. Now, the million-dollar question. What's the perfect gap? There isn't a one-size-fits-all number, but there is a rule of thumb. Cepeda's 2008 temporal ridgeline work suggests you should set your first gap to about 10 to 20% of how long you need to remember the material, your retention horizon, then expand from there. Need it for a test in 7 days? First review after about 1 day, then expand. Presenting in 30 days? First review after about 3 to 6 days. Want durable knowledge for a year? Early gaps can stretch to 2 to 4 weeks, then months. The Batrick family Spanish vocabulary studies found that weeks to months gaps beat day-to-day gaps when retention was tested years later. Badley and Longman trained postal workers on typing and found shorter, spaced sessions beat long marathons for both speed and long-term retention, even though the trainees preferred the marathons. Preference does not equal performance. 2 important caveats.
Spacing can hurt immediate same-day test performance. If you cram, you might look impressive right now, but spacing wins when it actually counts later. If you space too far, retrieval can fail. That's okay. Peek just enough to jog memory, then close the source and retrieve again. The goal is effortful recall, not impossible recall. All right, science decoded. How do we use this without turning your life into a scheduling spreadsheet? Here's your Brainful Bites toolkit for spaced repetition. Toolkit step 1. Always pair spacing with active recall. No passive rereading. Each session is a self-test. Close the book. Ask, what are the 3 causes of inflation? Or, how do I write a Python function with default args? Or, explain the spacing effect to a friend. Use flashcards, short problem sets, or teach it out loud. Immediately check your answer, correct errors, and move on.
Corrective feedback is essential, especially for beginners, so you don't strengthen mistakes. Toolkit Step 2. Use a simple, expandable schedule. Start with 1, 3, 7, 21, 60 days for new knowledge. Review 1 day after learning, then 3 days later, then 1 week, 3 weeks, 2 months. Adaptive tweak. If a review is effortless, extend the next gap. If you struggle and barely retrieve, keep the next gap similar. If you fail, shorten the next gap and do a quick peek, then retrieve again. For 1-week horizons, compress to 1, 3, 6 days. For multi-month goals, extend to 1 week, 3 weeks, 2 months, 4 months. Toolkit Step 4. Plan backwards from your retention goal. Decide when you need the knowledge to peak. Set your first review at about 10 to 20% of that horizon, then expand. Examples. Exam in 6 weeks, first review in 4 to 8 days, then 2 to 3 weeks, then 5 to 6 weeks, light touch, then a quick check a few days before the exam. Certification in 3 months, first review at 1 to 2 weeks, then 1 month, then 2 months, then 3 months. If your goal changes, deadline moves up, shrink the next gap. If it moves out, lengthen it. Toolkit Step 5. Turn notes into spaced prompts. Convert highlights into questions. Define opportunity cost. Why does spacing beat cramming? Name 2 mechanisms. Given this scenario, which statistical test fits and why? Tools. Use Anki, Quizlet, or any flashcard app with built-in spacing. Prefer Q/A style with clear answers. Keep cards lean, 1 idea per card. Analog works too. Index cards or a calendar. Create recurring reminders like explain X concept in 3 sentences. Spend 10 to 15 minutes daily on due items. Consistency beats intensity. Let's put this in motion with 2 quick scenarios. Student scenario. Anna. Anatomy exam in 30 days. Day 0. Learn cranial nerves. Create 12 Q&A cards. Name to function, function to name. Deficits to nerve. Day 4 to 5. First active recall session. 10 to 15 minutes. Struggled on 7 and 9. Marked those again soon. Day 12. Second session. Retrieval is easier on most. Stretch next step on strong items, shorten on weak ones. Day 24. Third session with mixed case prompts. Patient with dry eye, what nerve and why. Day 28. Quick check, then rest. Sleep. Day 30. Exam. Durable recall, less stress. Professional scenario. Devin. Team lead presenting a new incident response protocol in 6 weeks. Week 0. Kickoff doc. Convert key steps into 8 micro prompts. List the first 3 actions after alert. Who owns communication at T+15? Where's the run book? Week 1. 10 minutes self-test. Misses step ownership. Adjust prompt. Roll to responsibility to handoff. Week 3. Simulated scenario drill. 15 minutes.
add one curveball to vary encoding. Week 5, lightning review plus one-page checklist. Presentation feels automatic. Pro tips to avoid common traps. Don't confuse familiarity with mastery. If it feels fluent while rereading, that's your illusion alarm. Test yourself. Mix in interleaving when relevant. After a few space sessions, shuffle related topics, for example, different types of probability problems, to improve transfer. Sleep is spacing's multiplier. Try to include at least one night of sleep between learning and the first review. Keep sessions short to reduce fatigue. 10 to 25 minutes is plenty for a pass-through do items. Track errors. The items you miss are gold. Schedule them sooner and in more varied contexts. Quick start routine for today. Pick one topic you learned this week. Make 5 to 10 prompts, QA, or problems. Schedule reviews for day 1, day 3, day 7. Put them on your calendar. Each session, self-test for 10 minutes, fix mistakes, done. A quick word on feelings versus results. Spaced practice often feels harder. That's not a bug. It's the signal you're doing the kind of work that sticks. Immediate performance during practice can dip, but delayed performance, the one that matters, jumps. Badley and Longman's trainees didn't love short sessions. They learned more, and it lasted longer. Trust the data, not the vibe. Let's zoom out. Your brain isn't a bucket you pour knowledge into.
It's a system that strengthens with challenge, rest, and reactivation. Spacing is that cycle. Challenge to rest to reactivate. Repeat. That's the time-release secret to a super memory. Your challenge for this week. Pick one thing you need to learn for school, work, or life. Decide when you need to know it by. Schedule your first 2 spaced active recall reviews right now. Set the first gap at 10 to 20% of that horizon. What's the one thing you're going to master with spaced repetition? Drop it in the comments. Your plan might be the nudge someone else needs to ditch cramming for good. If this episode helped you unlock a smarter way to learn, share it with a student or a colleague who's stuck in the cramming cycle. And tell us which brain bugs or learning myths you want us to tackle next. Until next time, keep your brain hungry and your learning spaced.